Well, as many of you know now, there's a new movie coming out with Tom Hanks in it called Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. It's about Fred Rogers and his show that he had on PBS for so many years for children. And he's a part of Americana, you have to admit. He was a positive role model. He had a terrific message. And he would often ask in his show at some point, won't you be my neighbor? And Fred Rogers really was the kind of guy that you would want to have as a neighbor. He was kind, humble, thoughtful, conscientious. He wanted to get to know you. He cared about other people, and he took care of his environment. If you looked at his set, he would come home and to a clean home. He probably kept an immaculate yard, and he was somebody that everybody was proud to know. So my question to you is, are you a good neighbor? You might ask, well, who is my neighbor? Well, your neighbor is anybody that's in your sphere. Anybody who comes into contact with you, whether they be the people in your own neighborhood, the people at your work, it could be family members, it could be people at a restaurant that you frequent, it could really be just about anybody. So are you a good neighbor? Well, what makes a good neighbor? Well, if you look at Fred Rogers, you really don't have to look too much further than that. You see, I've kind of mentioned some of the things already. A good neighbor is someone, and you can think about this all across the board. A good neighbor is someone who takes care of their environment. They're not somebody that you're ashamed to live next to. They're not somebody that you're ashamed to rub elbows with, to be associated with. A good neighbor is someone who's kind, who is humble. They're flexible. They don't cause trouble. They don't incite anger, and you don't have to confront them. I've lived next door to people before, and probably you have too, that you've had to confront before. Maybe they're too loud. Maybe they fight. Maybe they're abusive to their spouse or their children, and sometimes you have to get the law involved. You don't even want to be associated with people like that, and you don't want to have to live next to them because you don't want to have to confront them all the time. I have found out that a lot of times people like this, they're incorrigible. They don't change, and they oftentimes think that you're the problem. They really do. They think that you are the problem, even though the problem really originated with them. There wasn't a problem before they arrived, and now they are one. But they're going to point the finger at you, and I think it's kind of funny. And they're so hard to get rid of. They're so difficult. And you think sometimes to yourself, I can outlast them, but oftentimes you can't. They seem to put down stakes and seem to not move at all. And so oftentimes I have found myself having to relocate altogether, and that can be costly. But a good neighbor is someone who's kind, thoughtful, conscientious. They reach out, they care about others. But they're also, the best kind of neighbors are flexible, they're humble, they're available. And these are all good, positive characteristics. Now, here's something that really made me want to talk about this subject. I was finishing up a book. In fact, it's this book right here, Time Capsule, 1933. Time magazine consolidated all of their articles from 1933 that were of any consequence on all different topics and subjects, and they give you pretty much the meat in these articles. And at the very last thing they share in this book is a small want ad, or some kind of an ad that was in the Seattle newspaper in 1933. And here's what it read. Here's what I read. In the ad, it said, "Neighbors hostile will trade silver cornet for revolver, automatic pistol, or shotgun." Let me read that again because I'm not sure if I was stilted in how I said that. The ad read, "Neighbors hostile will trade silver cornet for revolver, automatic pistol, or shotgun." Well, the culprit is right in his ad himself. It's him. It's him and his cornet. He obviously is a loud person, but he thinks the problem is them. All he has to do is get rid of the instrument which he used to cause a problem, to buy a weapon to eliminate who he thinks is the problem. He wants a shotgun, a pistol, or, a revolver. Isn't it weird how people are like that? Don't be that person. I've known people on and off throughout my life who oftentimes say, I'm not going to change for anybody. I don't have to do what anybody else tells me. I live by my own rules. And they can suck it. and they're proud of it. Don't be that guy. Don't be that neighbor. Be flexible. Be humble. Don't be the kind of person that people have to confront just to live civilly, just to live peaceably. Be kind that way. Be an upstanding person. That's what Fred Rogers was trying to teach your kids. Shouldn't that be the example that you follow? If you want other people to be good neighbors, you have to be one yourself. I hope that you've learned that from Fred Rogers. I hope this little story, this little one ad has helped. At least it's been kind of humorous. But, oftentimes the problem starts with us. And we don't want to see that because we don't want to change. We don't want the responsibility of having to change. But be flexible enough to do that and be humble. All right, guys, I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.